A guy spends 6 years hiding in his basement, lying to his own record label about where his music is really coming from. And that lie turns into the best-selling debut album in American history. That actually happened. His name was Tom Schultz. Picture him for a second. 6'5". Awkward smile. Looks like he should be fixing your car radio, not headlining Madison Square Garden. He grew up taking apart anything he could find just to see the guts of it. His dad was an inventor. Tom was built the same way, except his obsession wasn't machines. It was sound. While other teenagers were learning to play guitar solos, Tom wanted to know how the solo was built. What made it sound like that? He'd sit there with cheap gear, trying to reverse engineer bands like the Kinks, note by note, like he was taking apart an engine. He went to MIT, got a mechanical engineering degree, then a master's on top of it. Landed a comfortable, respectable job at Polaroid. And every night, he'd come home from a normal 9 to 5 and disappear into his basement, where he was quietly building something none of his coworkers had any idea existed. For years, it was just him, a drummer, and a singer named Brad Delp, grinding away down there, soldering wires, adjusting mics, recording onto an old reel-to-reel machine because that's what they could afford. They'd finish a demo, mail it to every label they could think of, and wait. And wait. Nothing. Rejection after rejection. Nobody wanted to sign an engineer who made rock music in his basement. It sounded like a joke, not a career. By 1975, Tom was basically out of runway. His first band had already fallen apart. He had $12,000 saved up for a real house for his real life. Instead, he spent it on recording gear. He told himself, 6 songs. My best 6 songs. If this doesn't work, I'm done. They poured everything into it. Tom played almost every instrument himself, recorded it, mixed it, alone, mostly. When it was finally finished, they mailed it out one more time and waited, again, for the silence that usually followed. Except this time, one tape landed on the right desk. A coworker's friend worked at Epic Records, and when the executives there hit play, they could not believe what they were hearing. This wasn't a scrappy home recording. It sounded massive, studio quality, like a band already filling stadiums. Before signing anything, though, Epic needed proof this wasn't studio trickery. They wanted to see it live. One problem, Tom didn't really have a full band anymore. So he scrambled, pulled in some old friends, threw a lineup together in a hurry, and walked into the audition of his life. It worked. Epic offered a deal. 10 albums, 6 years. It felt like the ending of a movie. Then came the fine print. Epic wanted the whole album re-recorded in a real studio with real professional producers standing over him. And Tom said no. He'd spent years shaping that exact sound in his basement, alone, obsessively. Handing it to strangers to redo felt like erasing everything he'd built. So he and producer John Boylan came up with a plan that honestly sounds insane when you say it out loud. The band would fly to LA and record vocals there, just enough to look legitimate. Meanwhile, Tom would quietly stay back home and record the actual album in the same basement it had always come from. Then they'd smuggle the real tapes out to LA to mix, technically checking every box in the contract, without the label ever knowing where the music truly came from. It worked. Epic never found out. They needed a band name, and Boylan suggested keeping it simple. Just call it Boston, the city where it actually happened. And they needed a single to lead with. There was really only one choice, the song Tom had spent years quietly perfecting down there. More than a feeling. Funny detail. That opening guitar you hear wasn't some expensive studio instrument. It was a beat-up $100 Yamaha Tom had used the whole time. Once the label heard the finished track, they gifted him a Taylor guitar worth thousands as a thank you. He never played it. He kept the cheap one. The song hit number 5 on the charts. The album became the best-selling debut record in American history. 17 million copies. Nobody beat that number for over a decade, not until Guns N' Roses finally did. Boston even became the first debut act ever to headline Madison Square Garden. And every single night, the whole crowd sang that chorus back at him like it belonged to them too. Here's a detail most fans never knew. Marianne, the woman in the lyrics, wasn't some Hollywood muse. She was inspired by Tom's own cousin, a tiny personal memory hiding inside a song that ended up defining a decade. Now here's the twist nobody talks about. Success came with a price tag attached. It had taken Tom 6 years to build that first album exactly the way he wanted it. Epic wanted the next one immediately. Tom refused to rush it. Their second record still sold well, still went platinum, but Tom always felt like it went out unfinished. And for a perfectionist like him, that felt like failure wearing a disguise. So he did something almost nobody would risk. He tore his own studio apart and rebuilt it from scratch, refusing to release anything until it met his own impossible standard. Epic sued him for breach of contract. Tom sued right back, claiming they'd crushed his creative freedom. What followed was a legal war that ate up nearly 10 years of his life. Boston went completely silent. And Tom just kept building, alone, refining a record that nobody outside that basement had heard a single second of. When he finally won, he signed with a new label and released Third Stage. 8 years in the making, it debuted at #1. The lead single, Amanda, hit #1 too. Every year he'd spent waiting turned out to be the whole point, not the obstacle. Boston never fully recaptured that original magic after that. And in 2007, Brad Delp, the voice behind it all, passed away. Something in the sound of the band changed permanently that day. But here's the thing. Even now, the second those opening guitar chords hit, people feel exactly what they felt back in 1976. Kurt Cobain openly admitted that Smells Like Teen Spirit borrowed its structure straight from this song. Nirvana even slipped lines from it into their own live shows, as a quiet tribute to the track that started it all. One guy, one basement, one lie that fooled an entire industry. And somehow, out of all of that, came a song that never actually stopped playing. If there's a favorite song you have by Boston, we'd like to hear the song that resonates most with you. Is More Than a Feeling really their best work?